Hey guys, now I'm going to quickly go over how to create the craters on the moon. So if you look at our image, we've got 4 craters, and each crater has basically one color, as well as this little sliver of a shadow in there. So we're going to fake that. We can't make that in 3D, so we have to make it look like it's got some three-dimensionality to it by creating that little shadow as well. And we're basically going to use the same technique as we did for the moon with one very important addition, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Because we have 4 craters, we only want to create one crater and then duplicate that one crater 1, 2, 3 times to create the other crater. So we don't leave ourselves with a ton of work. It'll be a little faster, a little more efficient. So let's get started. I do have to bring back my sky layer, and I'm going to hide everything beneath it, including my sky gradient. And I'm going to zoom into the crater that I'm going to create first. So keep in mind I have my image locked so I don't accidentally select it. It's important that you have it locked for this. And I'm going to use my ellipse tool again. And I'm going up approximately to the top and over to the side up here to start drawing this guy. And I'm going to get it to be the approximate size. And then I'll take the opacity way down so I can see my anchor points. And with my direct selection tool, I sort of like where these are. I might move my anchor points just a little bit. And know these craters aren't really round, and they're a little hard to see when we come in here. I might bend the handles a little bit. They're sort of skewed and distorted a little, not quite round. This guy here, I might take this one up a little. So I'm trying to get it close to the edge. I might take this one down a little. So we get this little distorted looking oval. And that looks like a good start. So I want to make sure I have this object, which is my path here. I'm going to call this crater, and I want to colorize it with my crater color, which I think, oh, that's moon shadow crater color. And this is why we name these, because you can get confused with all these golds and yellows as far as what it actually belongs to. But now I have my correct crater color ready to go. So we want to, just like the moon and the moon's shadow, we want to use the same curvature because this sliver of shadow here shares the same line, the same path from about there to over there as the entire crater itself. So we want to reuse this as we create that little sliver of the shadow. But before we duplicate or copy and paste this object, I'm going to create more anchor points up where I think that shadow starts. So again, just like the shadow of the moon, I'm going to create 2 here. And I'm going to go over here to where this one starts. Looks like this one might be in place enough already, so I'm going to create another one there. And the reason I'm doing this is because when I duplicate or copy and paste this one, and then I move and do the same thing I did with the moon shadow, after that I'm going to group the crater and the shadow of the crater together, and then we'll be able to manipulate the whole group and the group's anchor points together. So we want the shadow of the crater and the crater itself to share the same exact anchor point space in X and Y, so we don't get this crossover in paths. So right now, basically I have my crater selected. I'm going to hit Control C to copy it and Control F to paste it in place. And then I'm going to lock my original crater so I won't accidentally select it. And again, I'm going to go into Crater, Shadow. And then I'm going to get my direct selection tool. Here's my 2 there, there's my 2 there. I'm going to use this one to create that curvature up here. I'm going to move it really up close to that other path. I'm going to delete the extra one that we don't need. And then I'm going to get my Convert Anchor Point tool or Angle tool or Anchor Point tool to snap that guy down so we get the sharp curvature. And then my Direct Selection tool again. And this way we can alter our handles one at a time. I actually don't like where that is. I'm going to move it more towards the middle and probably bring this back. I don't want them overlapping. And that looks pretty good right there. I'm probably going to drag this one out to make it a little bit thinner. And voila, we're good there. So now with our shadow selected, I'm going to give it my shadow color. I just clicked on it, and I'm going to bring the opacity way back up, unlock my original crater, and again bring that opacity back up, and we're going to look at it from further out, and that looks pretty cool right there. Now what we want to do is group these, so I'm going to use my layer window to click and select my crater shadow, and I'm going to hold down shift to add the crater to it, and hit Control G for group. Now we have crater 1 group, and with that group selected, as you can see, I've got both of these under here, but I'm going to select the group and know that if I click off and then I click back on my object, now it will select that group. It won't select the object I clicked on. It's selecting the entire group. I'm going to hit Control C to copy it, and then Control F again. I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to put it over that crater. I'm going to hit Control C, Control F again, move it over that crater, Control C, Control F again, and over here to this little crater. And then I'm going to go back, and one at a time, we're going to reshape these as a group to get them close to the other craters. So all I have to do is take my opacity down on the group. At this point, I can actually use my bounding box to scale these down and get them close. And as you can see, we have a problem. It's not matching up very well, but it's getting close. And now I can use my direct selection tool and drag select these anchor points together to move them into a better position. We got crossover there. That's not really good. I might have to play with the handles a little bit. I don't like that my lines disappear when I do this, so I'm going to do that. Drag select to make sure I get all of the anchor points I want. And then something weird happened there. Let's see what happens if we now move my anchor point. Okay, you got to keep an eye on that because this is a little bit different of a shape, so I'm going to alter that anchor point that's on my shadow part there, and again, that's close enough. So if I go back, reselect it, take my opacity back up, we can see that it's a pretty good little crater right there. And do the same thing with that one and with that one, and you'll be done with the crater.